Hey, how are you?
Yeah, I'm pretty fine, thank you. How about you?
Awesome. I'm well. I'm well. Thanks for having a conversation. I always appreciate people that take time to talk through things to figure out truth better. So, um, if it's okay
Yeah.
with you, I'd like to record this conversation, and at the end of it, if it's good, then we can publish it. Do you consent?
Um, if it's good, I guess.
Ha! Okay. I'll ask you again at the end, then we'll see. And you don't have to. You can be anonymous if you'd prefer. Just let me know what you'd like me to call you.
Um, we can start, I think.
Okay. So I think you were challenging me on a statement that I made on the Discord server, and I've made in previous debates on YouTube. I make the claim that people that are vegan for moral reasons are engaging in pathological altruism. And you were asking me some questions about that. And text chat is always the worst way to have these discussions, so I invited you here for a voice chat. So I mean, I'll let you. I'm happy to let you drive the conversation if you wanted to continue.
Well, yeah. I'm not really much after just changing your mind or anything like that. I'm mainly after knowing a little bit more of how you think. So I guess I can start off by asking, when it comes to causing harm to animals, is there like some sort of line where you could draw from, okay, this is too much suffering, so then it becomes immoral?
Well, are you familiar? Are you familiar with how I use the term?
For,
Go ahead. Sorry.
no, go ahead. You.
I was just asking. So when I say that something is immoral or evil, what I'm saying, just because definitions are important for these conversations, right? So when I call something immoral, that means that I can attack someone over it. So, for instance, if a guy was punching someone else that was innocent, then I would call that an immoral act, which means that if I so chose, I could use force to stop that guy from punching the other person. That is specifically how I use the term immoral or moral, the morality of it. An evil act is one in which defensive force can be used to put a stop to the situation. Is that the way that you're asking the question? Are you asking, is there something so depraved you could do to an animal that I think it would be acceptable to attack a person over?
We can take that question and see where it goes.
I find that the creatures, the entities out there in the world that would respect me in kind, meaning if they saw me being tortured, they would step in and help protect me. I think those are the creatures that would deserve me stepping in to help them. So the creatures, the beings out there in the universe that can understand what rights are and what property is, and can take action to reciprocate those rights with me, those are the ones whose rights I respect in turn from a use of force perspective. From an aesthetic perspective, yes, I find torturing animals disgusting, absolutely. From a use of force perspective, I think the moral minimum is at reciprocating with other creatures that would do the same or will do the same for you.
So then there is no line for, in a moral perspective, it's just aesthetics. Did I get that right?
Creatures are, I mean, like a dog is the same as a rock in terms of being able to respect your property, understand your rights, respect your rights, protect you, form agreements with you. So there needs to be a justification for elevating those creatures to the level of the other entities that can. That's my position. When it comes to using force, again, I'm going to keep reiterating this so that so that people are quite aware. You know, if I found somebody was torturing puppies in their backyard, I would not be quiet about it by any means.
No. So that's a case when you think that it's that it's morally justified to use force to actually stop them from torturing the dog.
If the dog is the person's property, I would not have justification to trespass on his property and attack the guy to stop that.
So then the dog, if someone owns a dog, then can they then torture the dog how much they want, and you would not feel justified stopping it because it's property? Did I get that right?
I would not be justified in attacking the person, is very specifically what I'm saying. You have to be very specific with these disgusting edge cases, right? I would not attack a person for doing something that I really, really, really despised with their property. Would I buy billboards with the guy's face on it saying that he tortures puppies so that everyone knew about it? Would I make sure that every business in the neighborhood knew about what he did so they would stop doing business with him? You know, would I make posters and start campaigns to make sure that nobody would ever even sell the guy water or electricity? Hell yes. Hell yes, I would do everything I could to make the guy's life miserable. But all of those things are peaceful actions that aren't the initiation of force.
All right. So I guess I could ask: is there a humane way to kill an animal?
What do you mean by humane?
How do you define humane?
Well, it's your word. You should define it. You're asking me. How do you define it?
Okay, then I can just say my thoughts. I think, for example, if there is an absence of equality, then there cannot be less of equality that there is none. So can things be more humane? If something is very brutal, then I don't think it can be more humane. But I would define it pretty much as a kind thing to do. Like,
yeah, I just googled the definition. Yeah, I just googled the definition, and kindness matches with what I see here. It says characterized by kindness, mercy, or compassion. So your question was: is there a kind, merciful, or compassionate way to kill something?
Yes.
I would say only relatively. Like, there are more merciful ways to kill things than others, but in general, I don't know that you could call the act merciful unless it was consensual. But an animal does not have the capacity to consent, so I'm not sure that that applies to animals.
Okay. So I guess my question would be then. I lost my train of thought.
You were asking me if there was a humane way to kill an animal, I think was the question. Does that help?
So then the finishing act is not humane, it's not kind. We agree on that? That the very act that gets your steak to a plate.
I'm not sure it's a truth apt definition. So, is it kind or compassionate or merciful to kill something so that you can eat? Maybe not.
Yeah. So I don't know how many more questions I have no questions on my mind right now, at least.
Okay. Okay. Well, I mean, that's fine. We can end the conversation there if you'd like.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
Okay. Well,
Did you think it was a good conversation?
yeah, sure.
Or,
Yeah.
good.
I mean, I think all conversations that are respectful are good.
Yeah, there's been so much polarization and all that in this topic as well, and
yeah.
yeah.
Let me put forward why specifically I make that edgy statement, because I make that edgy statement on purpose because it gets attention and it triggers good conversations like the one we're having here. So, first of all, when I say that moral veganism is pathological altruism, that is sort of an obnoxious statement. Why? I don't go around saying that all the time, though. I usually only save it for when vegans confront me with equally insulting name calling, because it lays out an argument that I would like to take a couple minutes here just to describe, and then if you have any thoughts, we can talk about it, and if not, we can end the conversation. So, pathological altruism. Go ahead. Sorry.
I think I understand
Okay.
what you mean. So yeah.
Okay.
So I don't think that there is things I don't understand. It's not like if you stop eating animals for a moral reason, you're automatically a pathological altruist, but you pretty much mean that taking it to its conclusion you would call pathological altruism. Did I get that right?
You pretty much nailed it. Yeah. I mean, I call it altruism because you're affording extra rights to entities that do not afford you the same rights. And that's fine. Like, if you want to be altruistic, you do you, man. If that makes you happy, I'm happy that you're happy, honestly. I'm never out there telling people not to do what makes them happy when they're not hurting other people. So if you want to be altruistic in that way, go ahead. I think it can become a problem for people in situations that they might need to take in those calories. And in that case, they have a choice. They either hold to their moral rule of not eating animals and affording them equal rights, or they break their rule in order to survive. If they break their rule, then it was never, and a lot of moral vegans, even like the one I debated on YouTube a while back, will tell you that if they're in a survival situation, they might eat meat. Well, okay, now we're not really talking about morality. We're not talking about a moral rule. We're just talking about a preference. So that's okay, fine. That's not pathological then, because it's also not a moral rule either. But if you really are holding that as a moral rule, and you really would refuse to eat an animal even if it cost you your own life in starvation, okay, well, it is a moral rule now, but it's also pathological because you're affording compassion to entities that would not afford you, or don't even have the capacity to afford you that compassion.
All right. So then I think my goal, I think the goal that I wanted from this is pretty much done right now. I was pretty much asking questions to have a more understanding. that was pretty much my goal.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate it. Did you have any conclusions? Like, are you a moral vegan? I never asked that.
You did right that question, and for now, I mean, I don't know what I would do in a survival situation. If we, for example, just think about, okay, could it be possible to, for example, surviving without eating animals in a survival situation there? For example, if you have a lot of knowledge about herbs or whatever, so you know precisely what to pick, so you can go out and just pick a bunch of salad, then there could be possibly be an argument for taking moral veganism to its conclusion.
Well, it makes it easier when you can construct a hypothetical situation that allows you to have that option, right? But so let me illustrate it let me illustrate the same conundrum with a problem for a moral rule that I do follow. I will not initiate force. I will not murder someone, even if it results in my death. So if I'm in a survival situation and my choice is to kill an innocent person or die, I would rather have my death stand for my moral principles than I would to sacrifice those principles for the sake of continuing to live a little bit longer. So to me, that's what it means to have a moral rule. If you're not willing to put your actions behind your morals, then really we're just talking about feelings, and the discussion is a lot less important, I guess.
Well, yeah, I think that maybe it's possible to see it's sort of like that. Okay, morality can be a very hard thing, and and in a survival situation, you could be like, okay, it's wrong to kill an animal, but it's hard. It's kind of hard. You'll die if you, there could be scales in morality, like it's just a little bit wrong to kill an animal to kill an animal, for example. It doesn't have to be, okay, this is the most evil thing in all history.
I mean, morality is subjective in a sense that you can have your own conception of it and I can have my own conception of it, and that sucks. I don't like that, but I guess what I argue for is that for it to mean something, the reason why I use good and evil, the word evil, to mean something very specific, it is something that I am justified in using force to prevent. That is either a yes or a no. That's a binary. That's not a spectrum of a little bit of, a little bit of evil to a lot of evil. That is, can I use force to stop the thing from happening? So the question to you is, if you're, let's say starving to death and you decide to eat a chicken to survive, can I use force to stop you? Yes or no?
No. I think that would be what I would.
Okay. So for that to be an objective answer, meaning applying in all times and places, then that's the answer for here and now when you're not starving as well. Otherwise, we're just back into the realm of subjectivity and like feelings, right?
Well, I guess that's a good point.
Well, something to think about. And you know what? We can continue this conversation later if you want. I don't mean to press you or, force you to stay here. So,
yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Well, if you want to follow up and talk more later, just let me know.
Sure.
Okay. I enjoyed this. I thought it was a really cool conversation. You challenged me in the beginning, and I enjoyed that. And I think I maybe challenged you in the end. Would you consent to me publishing this?
I guess so.
Okay. Well, I'm happy to not too if you'd prefer, because finding the truth is the most important thing to me.
Yes.
But teaching other people as well, I think, is also important.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
All right. Well, I'll talk to you soon. Thanks again, man. I appreciate it. We'll talk again.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.